Hold on tight, XRP holders, because we are gazing down the nose of the cliff at the moment we have all been waiting for. Experts are hailing this as a major development. I don't mean next year or some unspecified moment, I mean right this second. If you've been keeping an eye on the charts, liquidity, institutions, and policy adjustments, you've seen the last battle between the bulls and the bears approaching this quarter, leading into Q4 2025. At this very time, the bulls will seize the reins and propel XRP and the entire cryptocurrency market to unprecedented heights. Everything is in place for the long-awaited breakout. The stage is set, the players are moving, and it's happening soon. Your money is not being advised by this. Okay then, let's jump right in. At the moment, Bitcoin is trading above $116,000, and XRP is holding steady at 3.09. Ethereum is making a strong return to its all-time high, while BNB has broken above the $920 mark. Just today, Dogecoin experienced an 8% rise, bringing it back up to 0.27 for the first time in months. Everything about the market is green, and that tells us just one thing. The typically euphoric blow-off peak that occurs at the end of these cycles is still far off. In reality, what we're seeing is a mixture of accumulation and momentum, which is lethal for bears, as it leads to greater highs, stronger breakouts, and more aggressive inflows. In case you're really interested in setting yourself up to discover the next big moves, I highly recommend checking out the Ultimate Millionaire Investor Guide, Find 100x Stocks, which is posted to the comment section below this video. It's well organized and contains a wealth of useful information, including documents, photos, videos, and more. There you will find the information you need to gain a head start in the market for the next phase. We return to XRP now. Experts have been predicting this situation for some time. Approval of XRP exchange-traded funds is now a matter of when, not if, as we have already received applications. The approval of Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs in 2024 established the clear precedent, according to Mason Varoulis and other market professionals. That is not going to be enough for institutions. More and more people are looking to buy XRP, and it already has one of the best institutional cases of any digital asset. As soon as the ETFs get the go-ahead, XRP's liquidity profile alters dramatically. The problem is, technically speaking, the breakout has started already. It is clear from the charts that XRP has exited its consolidation phase. For months, price action remained trapped in that constricting channel, which was getting tighter by the day. The compression, however, sets the stage for expansion, as it does in every cycle. The fact that XRP has emerged from the wedge and is currently creating a new positive trend line is already being noted by CW and other chart watchers. What do they anticipate? A successful break above 440 would establish a new record high. When that happens, the community will know that exponential development has begun. Because of this, you must pay attention to the current state of trading volume. The trading volume for XRP exceeded $5.7 billion in the past day alone. So much for retail. Retail cannot move that much money that fast. Big players, including institutions and whales, are positioning their cash ahead of what they anticipate. If you look at history, you'll see that this exact scenario has occurred before. Each time a big parabolic leg is about to occur, the smart money gets in early, volume surges, the breakout occurs, and retail buyers pour in at greater levels. This is why experts are advising XRP holders to be cautious. At this moment, there is no discernible trend in either greed or fear. I am astounded. This is due to the fact that XRP was far weaker when we encountered extreme greed in late 2024 during Bitcoin's initial ascent beyond 100,000, but we nonetheless managed to reach that level of severe greed. There has been no change in mood despite today's stronger XRP, increased liquidity, ETFs, and institutional involvement. That means there is still a very long way to go until the market gets too hot. A day of neutrality today will lead into a runway show tomorrow. Also, consider this in the context of historical situations. Bitcoin first burst beyond $100,000 in November 2024, just following Donald Trump's election. After hearing that was the pinnacle, all we got was a little taste of excessive greed before the Fed became hawkish and pulled the rug out from under us with their rate policies. Here we are in the present day with the polar opposite situation. After years of being hawkish, Jerome Powell has finally turned dovish. Institutions are pleading for clarity in order to increase their crypto holdings. Global liquidity is at record highs, and inflation is under control. That's a bullish market. Assets like XRP can reach valuations no one ever imagined in such setting. Furthermore, the placement must be considered. A new record high has been reached by Bitcoin. The value of Ethereum has returned to its previous peak. Yet XRP, the gap is still over 20%. Liquidity will shift into XRP, driving its price higher until that gap closes. Not only does XRP have the most ardent community supporting it, but it also has one of the greatest global use case storylines, keeping it ranked third by market cap. Even if Bitcoin maximizes maximalists shout decentralization from the rooftops, XRP has staked its claim to the future's institutional railroads, which means its potential multiple from here is significantly higher than that of BTC or ETH. What does that mean for us now? No brainer. The consensus among analysts is that XRP will soon break the 440 mark. The estimates for the middle term, however, are substantially larger. The market cap is $500 billion. Perhaps even $1 trillion in valuation by the end of the year, which would place XRP close to $20. Those are not just random figures. They are predicated on patterns of past cycles, liquidity flows, the possibility of exchange-traded funds, and institutional acceptance. It becomes crystal clear when you step back. Our belief in the potential value of these assets is consistently misguided. We have doubts about the math every cycle. Reality consistently outstrips expectations with each cycle. Nonetheless, compared to 2017 and 2021, the setting is superior this time around. Now more than ever before, big players may allocate securely with our institutional custody solutions from BlackRock, Fidelity, and iTrust Capital. Global liquidity is moving with us. The Fed's dovish stance is here. We are prepared with exchange-traded funds. As a matter of paramount importance, price action is currently breaking out, not at some point in the future. Something crucial becomes apparent when one steps back and examines the market as a whole. Today, XRP is in the same boat that Bitcoin was in 2017 and again in 2021, just before the price broke through the $20,000 mark. None of this is coincidental. Because market players' mentalities remain constant, patterns emerge, and markets move in cycles. At the moment, XRP is drawing energy, coiling up, and ripping hard when it rips. You don't have much time to respond once momentum takes hold, which is why experienced analysts are warning XRP holders to strap in. The following action will be aggressive, and spectators will be left in the dust. The data is unambiguous. A plethora of bullish indicators, including relative strength indexes, moving averages, and MACD, are accompanied by increasing volume and a deluge of new liquidity. And this is occurring well before the retail frenzy begins, new regulatory clarity is provided, or ETF confirmations are made. If this is the state of XRP just before the frenzy, just wait when the frenzy hits. On the basis of the calculations alone, exponential growth is not only feasible, but quite likely. And this is something that many overlook. When it comes to past cycles, XRP has always been last to act. The order of execution is as follows. Bitcoin goes live first, Ethereum follows suit, and last XRP gets up and makes the biggest moves as quickly as possible. It keeps happening in that pattern. While Bitcoin has surpassed $116,000, Ethereum is on the verge of hitting a new all-time high, while XRP remains far behind. Still, being behind doesn't indicate weakness. To be lagging in cryptocurrency is to be preparing for a massive comeback. When XRP accomplishes this, the price doesn't fluctuate by little amounts. Multiples of it move. At this same moment, consider the mentality of investors. Seeing Bitcoin reach $116,000 has made a lot of people wonder if they were too late. Ethereum is seen teasingly approaching its peak, and some are questioning whether there is any remaining energy. On what do the wheels of that capital turn? Into the asset's market cap that is still below its competitors. XRP has all three of those things going for it: name recognition, liquidity, and infrastructure. In a market where prices have the potential to increase by a factor of 2, 3, or even 4 from where they are now, XRP is the clear pick for investors and traders. For that reason, the daily volume is already bringing in billions. Now that we've covered ETFs and institutional adoption, let's move on to other drivers. One may argue that the macro climate is at its most bullish point in decades. It is impossible to overestimate the dovish movement at the Federal Reserve. Even a little reduction in interest rates, such as 25 basis points, can have a devastating effect on financial assets. Additionally, risk-on situations are ideal for crypto, particularly XRP. You have a rocket ship all set for takeoff when you include in the fact that global liquidity is at historic levels. Somehow capital is being allocated, and it's not all ending up in the conventional stock market. Cryptocurrency fills a need among investors for asymmetric returns. It is supported by the technological side. Please observe the weekly graphs. Important moving averages have been broken for XRP, which hasn't happened in months. It wasn't a coincidence. The breakthrough from consolidation was genuine. The road to $4.40 will be clear as soon as the weekly closing confirms over $3.09 and maintains pace. Levels of resistance diminish considerably beyond that point. That's why, during this cycle, experts aren't bashful about demanding $8, $12, or even $20. Their guess is incorrect. The charts, flows, and macro setup are being read by them. Furthermore, the robustness of the XRP community is an underappreciated aspect. This isn't your average token with a few supporters. When it comes to cryptocurrency, XRP has one of the most active and influential groups. That is significant. Solid communities are able to stave off panic buying when markets are volatile. By doing so, they inspire faith. They make good things go even further. Also, people from outside the group notice their power and want to join. In this run, XRP's community effect will once again shine, as it has in previous runs. It is also noticed by institutions. Explore options for child custody. Crypto custody services weren't just a lark for BlackRock and Fidelity. Building premium custody accounts wasn't an afterthought for iTrust Capital. Companies in this space are seeing demand, and XRP is one of the fundamental assets that investors desire secure access to. The resources of institutions are not frittered away on assets in which they have little faith. Constructing this infrastructure demonstrates trust. Once exchange-traded funds, ETFs, go live, that trust translates into influxes of billions of dollars. Another thing to think about is this. Ripple is more than just a speculative asset. Cross-border payments, liquidity solutions, and efficient settlement are some of its intended uses. Worldwide, banks and other financial organizations are already testing it out. Unlike other meme coins, this one doesn't rely on hype to stay afloat. In a market worth several trillion dollars, this asset has a valid application. Additional evidence for sustainable expansion is provided by that utility narrative. By serving as a settlement mechanism, XRP further establishes itself as more than simply a medium of exchange. It's a tool, and huge problem-solving tools are always around. Ascending, they descend. A more holistic approach to market psychology is also required. There are assets that surprise market participants at every stage. It was Ethereum in 2017. It was Solana in the year 2021. At this time, it appears that XRP will be the asset that causes a shockwave. Why? Reason being, it possesses all the right ingredients: solid fundamentals, huge potential catalysts, and underperformance. You can't deny the arrangement. The best narrative is currently available for XRP, and traders adore tails. Institutional buy-in, a breakout chart, clear regulations, and an ETF clearance in the works. The floodgates open once Wall Street sells that narrative to clients. Consider liquidity rotation as well. Liquidity flows ebb and flow among assets during bull markets. First comes Bitcoin, then Ethereum, then XRP and other major cryptocurrencies, and lastly, the altcoin craze. Phases 1 and 2 are already manifesting. Following Bitcoin and Ethereum, XRP is currently in the spotlight. For that reason, market watchers are certain that a breakout is on the horizon. It's not about XRP alone, but rather the whole rhythm of the cycle, and now is XRP's time. The geopolitical perspective must also be taken into account. The need of efficient cross-border payments is growing. Central banks are testing CBDCs. Financial institutions are incorporating blockchain rails, and digital asset adoption is speeding up in many nations. XRP is located where all of those things come together. It was purpose-built to address those issues. In the event that institutions and governments are compelled to embrace more advanced technologies, XRP will be ready and waiting. For that reason, it stands out from all other crypto assets. In the near future, then, what does this mean? According to experts, Ford 40 is the primary objective. A new all-time high would be clearly broken if that happened. However, it is not all. It is price discovery's turn to reign after momentum has built. Additionally, the ceiling is pulled off during price discovery. Predictions ranging from $8 to $20 are reasonable and may even be conservative because of this. Even the most optimistic predictions could be wrong about XRP, as its worth is creeping closer to $1 trillion. Remember where we came from if you think it sounds too harsh. Throughout each prior cycle, assets have pulled off seemingly impossible feats. The price of Bitcoin jumped from $1,000 to $20,000 in 2017. Ethereum prices peaked in 2017-2021 at $80 and dropped to $4,800. Solana went up from $1 to more than $250 in a single year. In this cycle, XRP is positioned to be that tail. It's an ideal contender. Bring that together with the macro image now. The case becomes quite convincing after rate reduction, dovish policies, record levels of global liquidity, and demand from institutions. This is supported by evidence, not conjecture. All the key indicators are pointing to a breakout, but this is still pure guesswork. For that reason, experts can't stop stressing the same thing. Attention, XRP holders. Fasten your seatbelts. You certainly don't want to be left behind when this rocket lifts off. And the finest aspect, when it comes to emotions, it's still early. If the fear and greed index is neutral, then retail has not yet arrived. The parabolic phase begins with the entry of retail. At the moment, the focus is on accumulation, smart money, and the establishment of whales. Prices go above everyone's expectations when retail sales pour in. When that happens, the news reports go from being skeptical to being ecstatic. This is nothing new. We've seen it previously. One thing about markets is that they consistently outperform people's expectations. Investors set mental ceilings every cycle. After claiming Bitcoin can't rise above $10,000, the price blows to $20,000. Ethereum smashes to $4,800 despite their claims that it can't go above $1,000. Some believe that XRP will not be able to rise above $5, $8, or $10 this cycle. However, those ceilings are purely hypothetical. There are boundless possibilities in price discovery. Demand and liquidity are the sole constraints. These two things are going to blow up for XRP. Currently, the demand picture is more robust than it has ever been before. Organizations aren't merely curious, they're devoted. There is a genuine need for XRP now that custody solutions are available, exchange-traded funds are waiting for approval, and banks are talking publicly about blockchain settlement rails. Retail still hasn't gotten up and running, but when it does, it will only make things worse. Parabolic moves are exactly what you get when you combine institutional foundations with retail hysteria. On a worldwide scale, liquidity has never been higher. Instead of tightening, central banks are loosening. Rates are being reduced by the Federal Reserve. Investors are eager to place asymmetric bets, and capital is inexpensive. The stock market is no longer capable of producing such enormous profits. Without a doubt, bonds cannot. There is no other market where 5 times, 10 times, or even 20 times moves are still possible than the cryptocurrency market. And XRP has established itself as one of the crypto assets that can produce such multiples the best. The data shows it to be true. The momentum on a weekly basis is now positive. RSI is on the rise, but it has not yet reached overbought territory. A trend reversal has been confirmed as MACD has entered positive territory. Instead of acting as resistance, moving averages now serve as support. Demand is skyrocketing. These do not indicate that you are tired. A spark has been ignited. The XRP community has been patiently waiting for this very configuration for years, and traders and institutions are well aware of it. The psychological component should also not be disregarded. For years, XRP has been stifled by litigation, unclear regulations, and never-ending fear, uncertainty, and doubt, FUD. That discouraged investment and kept prices low. That cloud has been dispelled, though, because to ETF registrations, regulatory clarification, and the support of institutions. An explosive outcome is imminently going to be the result of all that suppressed energy. The severity of a breakout is proportional to the length of time an asset has been suppressed. XRP exemplifies this perfectly. For all intents and purposes, XRP is positioned to be the cycle's late bloomer with the largest return. Just like Bitcoin, Ethereum is making a move. However, XRP has not yet experienced its meteoric rise. Then, unlike most other big cryptocurrencies, it will be lightning fast and aggressive. So many seasoned traders are advising holding tight now because of this very reason. If you sell too soon, try to time micro moves, or give in to boredom, you risk missing the most significant portion of the move. The best XRP price runs have typically occurred in waves that are just a few weeks long. Shortly after its 2017 launch, XRP's price soared from $0.20 to $3. There was a 15x move there. With a new starting price of $3, XRP can swiftly reach double digits at even a fraction of that multiple. With the institutional backdrop in mind, this run might even eclipse the previous one. The cautious midterm objective, according to analysts, is $8, and $20 is the reasonable top for this cycle. There are those who think it might go much higher if money floods in like it did for Bitcoin in 2021. In terms of market capitalization, consider the implications. If XRP were to reach $20, its valuation would be close to $1 trillion. Such a level would establish XRP as an integral part of the international monetary system rather than merely a speculative asset. Indeed, the basics lend credence to it. All the necessary elements, including a use case, adoption, and institutional infrastructure, are in place. Everything is in place except for the price action to close the gap, and right now it is taking place. Feelings, meanwhile, remain unnoticed. XRP is still not making headlines in the mainstream media. It's not something that the CNBC hosts bring up on a daily basis. That means the hype cycle has only just begun. The price of XRP will have risen significantly by the time it makes it into the main page of every financial news site. Positioning is happening right now. The manic phase follows. Whoever positions themselves during neutrality usually ends up reaping the benefits of mania, according to history. There's also the matter of competition to think about. Although Bitcoin and Ethereum get most of the attention, none of them offers a solution to the issue of cross-border payments as XRP does. Virtual gold, that is Bitcoin. The global computer is Ethereum. For international money transfers, XRP is the way to go. There are potentially trillions of dollars at risk in that use case. Among the several blockchain rails being adopted by institutions, XRP stands out as the most established, liquid, and efficient alternative for settlement. I'm not exaggerating. It has a real-world benefit that other assets can't match. Regulators are aware of this benefit as well. Once feared as a death sentence, Ripple's SEC complaint has become a fortunate turn of events. After completing it and coming out on top, XRP has a legal basis, something that many other assets lack. With no fear of retroactive punishment, institutions are able to interact with confidence. Surprisingly, XRP has actually been strengthened by the litigation that was meant to derail it. That's just one more reason why this cycle seems promising. After this, what's the next step? The breakout goals are obvious in the short run, from $4.40 to $5 to $8. Afterwards, $12, $15, or even $20 enter the picture as price discovery takes over. There will be fluctuations as you go, you can count on it. The broader view, however, is quite clear. The arrangement is noteworthy. We have aligned the catalysts. Money is moving in and things are looking up. The analysts constantly bringing it up because of this. We are held by XRP. Put on your safety belt. Now is not the moment to be sidetracked. Do not be doubtful at this moment. To see the setup for what it is, you must do it now. The cycle's potential. This brings us to our last point. There is one defining asset for every cycle. Bitcoin broke the $20,000 barrier in 2017. It was Ethereum and the emergence of DeFi in 2021. All signs point to XRP being the story-defining event in 2025. Everything points to XRP being the star of this bull run. ETF approvals, breakout charts, institutional demand, and the global liquidity backdrop. And the people who clung to the seatbelts and endured the din will be the ones who recount the tale of how they were there. This is happening right now, so stay awake. Find 100x Stocks, the Ultimate Millionaire Investor Guide, in the pinned comment below if you want more insights about preparing yourself for 100x chances. Everything you need to hone your skills is right there. Plus, if you haven't already, you can purchase NVDA stocks for free with a $1 investment when you use my Robinhood link.